Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Jennifer and we will be continuing with the Ornamental Deer Bucilla stocking. And if you haven't seen my first tutorial, I will link it somewhere in the description box somewhere, so you don't miss that. So I did start the reins on this one, and here's the cording, and it's a little bit of a thicker cording. You're working with more thread, and I made 2 of them. And I find, man, when I was putting the reins on this, I was like, what the heck, how am I supposed to do this? So I kind of had to brainstorm a little bit because I wasn't sure how to put the reins on like efficiently, if that makes any sense. So here I am trying to figure out the best way to tack down this cording. And honestly, it's okay to have extra. I'd rather have longer cording than short cording. So I am just gonna tack this one down first. Oops. Okay. All right, so I am gonna start with grabbing the end here, and I'm going to pull it through the back. So that's what I'm doing here. I just took a piece of random thread, and I'm just going to, probably going to go on top here. I'll go from the bottom. So I'm going from the bottom, and the other end's knotted, by the way. And then I'm going to come down here, and I will end up coming back and tacking that down. So I'm just going up and down, and this one is going to go behind its neck here, come up here, and I'm just making sure I have enough here. I don't want it to look too tight. I don't want it to look like, you know, it's like, I want it to look natural and flowy. So I tucked it behind the tail, and I'm going to actually go in here with one strand of white thread, and I'm going to tack it down. And honestly, I find the way to do it this way, it just makes it look seamless, and it looks like it's just naturally sits there. So, and I am going through the stuffing here, but I'm not pulling very hard. I'm very loose, and I'm just going around and kind of just adjusting as I go, best I can. And if you still see a stamp in the back, you can always rub off the stamp. So, okay, so that's what I have so far. And I came up through the back on this second one here, on the bottom of the reindeer's chin. And I'm just going to tack it down as I go. So I'm literally just going section by section and tacking it down while trying to stay in the frame. Okay. So this time I decided to just not go through the back, but to kind of just go like this. I found that this worked for me. So let me know if this method worked for you, or if you did something completely different. I would love to know, because I'm always looking to improve. So this one, okay, so I just decided to create the loop-de-loop thingy and pin it just so I can have it sit there. And I'm just tying it off to where I want it. And I am using the picture for reference, so. Okay, so I have it tacked down. I think I'm gonna tie it right here. I think that looks good. You can tie it in multiple spots and just figure out which spot works best for you. And then now I'm gonna tack down the end here. It looks like he escaped Santa's reins a little bit. This reindeer is free. Okay. Alright, that's where I want it. This looks great. And now I'm just gonna knot the back of it so it doesn't go anywhere. And I always double knot the back of my work and hide the tail. And now the reins are done. Super cute. This turned out so cute. Okay, so now we get to work on, so there's a little thing that goes there, and then his second ear goes right here. I just add those on off camera just because they're so little. And now we're gonna add his final front right leg here. Same method applies. Okay, so I get this question a lot, and no, the kits do not come with extra felt for lining. I buy my felt separately. I buy it by the bolts, and I buy premium 100% felts. And I go to Joann's only because it's the closest fabric store to me. You could also order it online, but make sure you buy the 100% premium wool. Wool is best because then you get a really nice quality felt. And I use the back of the stocking as a template to kind of cut out my lining. So what I'm doing now is I'm pinning my lining onto my stocking so that it won't move and I can trim it. Because when I line my stockings, I want to have a little bit of a seam allowance all the way around so that when I put the backing on, it's not so bulky, if that makes sense. Hopefully I'll show you why that makes sense. So, all right, so I'm gonna actually trim this here, and you'll see what I mean about the spacing. Okay, so you see the spacing between the front and the lining. So that's what I like to do, and I always match the front color with the floss. So in this case, I'm using red because that's what the main color is for this stocking. And depending on your stocking, I've made stockings that came with 2 different, even 3 different colored fronts, and I would change color. So make sure you match the color that you're, the front of the color that you're working with. So luckily this one's pretty simple, so I'm sticking with red. I'm using a regular applique stitch here, and I'm going to go around and applique this all the way around so it's nice and secure. Okay, one thing I didn't do for this particular stocking was add the tab first and then the lining. So it really depends on the stocking or how I'm feeling. So I like to add the tab before I put the lining on, but in this case I actually wanted to go and do something different with the tab. So the normal tab is just a regular green tab, and I decided to kind of spice it up a little bit and add an extra piece of the brown felt that matches the reindeer, and then I added sequins to kind of match the reindeer. So that's why it looks like that. That's not how it comes in the kit. That's just my personal touch. And again, normally I would put the name, or not the name tag, normally I put the hang tab in between the front and the lining, but in this case I just decided to add it here, which is fine. It still works. It's just a cleaner look in my opinion if I add it inside the lining, but that's okay. It still works pretty good. I just love the way this turned out. It's so simple. Sometimes I don't do anything. Sometimes I just leave it the way it came, depending on how busy the stocking is will depend on whether I kind of play with the hang tab or not. In this case, I felt it was a nice creative touch to kind of add something different here. So here I am adding the hang tab here. I'm using matching red to match the front of the stocking. I had to speed up this video because it was taking a little longer. Don't want the video to be too long. Okay. As you can see, I have the backing of this already pinned here. So I'm just going to trim the top and then applique the backing. So you can see I appliqued the tab parallel to the other side. And I don't trim the back. So I get a lot of people that ask me that, whether I trim the back or not. And I don't trim the back. So, okay. Now that we have the backing on, we're going to add all of the little ornaments. And the little ornaments are rather simple to put together. So the star has a straight stitch metallic thread on it. And it has a little bead and sequin in the middle. And I'll show you how I was able to put each of these ornaments on. Because honestly, you don't want to go through the backing, right? So because I line all my stockings, I don't want to go through that lining. So in a perfect world, I would have thought ahead and done this part before, but it is what it is. So this is what I'm showing you. Okay, so I've got that part done, and now it's all assembled. And I kind of use like, I don't know how you describe it. I just kind of like did like a loopy thingy. A loopy thingy. And I did like a knot in the back, and I looped it around, and I knotted it again. Does that make sense? Like, and now I'm just tacking it on to the antler. And I'm not going through to the back. I'm just going through the antler, and I'm just gonna secure this onto here. And so I want it to look like it's hanging like an actual ornament. So I'm just going through to the top, and I'm just gonna knot it on the back of the antler. So you don't really see it. But even if you do see it a little bit, it's not the end of the world. So I am double knotting this just to make it very secure, because I don't want it to fall off. I'm just gonna hide it just a little bit here. And then I'll trim it as close as I can. And now it looks like a cute little ornament hanging from the antler. I'm going to do this with all of the ornaments. So there's a couple of stars here. The other star is a little bit different. This is a little ornament, got these little tiny parts to it. And the instructions say to applique it and then do the embroidery. I just skip the applique altogether and just embroider it, because once it's embroidered, it's not going anywhere. So again, it's up to you if you feel like you need to embroider it, or if you feel like you need to applique it and then embroider it, that's fine too. I just was like, I'm getting to that point where like, oh, these little pieces don't really matter. So I'm just gonna put these together. I'm gonna put the beads and sequins on first, and then I'll put them together. So these are very similar, just a little bit different with the color beads. Just make sure you follow the instructions. And the little loops on the ornament, I kind of makeshifted. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It was just the easiest like way to put the loops on. Like, because I only used one strand. So anyway, this part was a little tedious, I have to be honest, to put each individual like ornament on here. But it's super cute in the end, so it's like, it was kind of worth it. Okay. Try your best to make it look like it's hanging, with it also feeling secure. So, okay, that's what we have so far. Oh, look at all these cute little ornaments. Super cute. There's a bell, another heart, a star, ornament over here, another bell, and another star. Very detailed, super cute. I just love the way it turned out. So I'm just making sure I got all the ornaments and not missing any. And now we're gonna do the little birdie. That just happens to be sitting right there. So the bird's fairly simple to put together. There are little tiny elements like the beak. I'm just looking at what I need to do here. I need to do a dark blue on top of the light blue. Okay, so I added the beak on the back. And here's the front. And the little wing. And I used all dark blue on the appliques. And then the eyes are a French knot. And I am attaching the wing with a bead and sequin. And it does say to do that in the instructions. And honestly, even if it didn't, I would have done it like this anyway. Because it's so small. The little birdie is so tiny that appliquing this wing onto the body would be a little bit on the tedious side. So this is the easiest way to do it. Double knots in the back. And then I'll add the backing of the bird, and then I'll tack it to its position. Cute little bluebird. I think it's a bluebird. I'm gonna assume it's a bluebird. Why not? It's blue. Okay. Put this little guy together, and we'll put him onto the stocking. Okay, so the bird's not stuffed, by the way. It's just appliqued together. And I'm going to use a pin to secure him, make sure he doesn't go anywhere. And I'm just going to gently attach him to the antler here. And I check periodically and make sure I don't go through to like the very, very back. So I just put my hand right where the needle is and make sure that it doesn't poke through the lining. Take your time here, because this is a very small thing, but I just wanted to make sure the bird didn't go anywhere. And I'm moving the wing so I don't get it. I want the wing to not be secure on there. I want it to look like it's, sticking out. Okay. All right. I had to do it off camera because it was getting a little bit hard to stay in the frame. So I got him on there, nice and secure. And now we get to do the name. So I am doing, this is how I do names if I'm doing by hand. And I try my best to do them by hand for these types of stockings. I have made my embroidered name tags for specific stockings if it's like a special order or something. But here I am gauging how much room I have. So I don't want to like go over that. And I'm using tissue paper. And this is the kind of tissue paper that you use for like presents and stuff. And you can get it really cheap, and it's a lot easier to work with, I think. So I know a lot of people use tracing paper. I just find that this way was a little bit more cheaper to do it this way. I'm just tracing the name right now, and I like to put a line on the bottom of the name so I know it's straight. And I used a notebook to write the name first, so I know everything is straight, and then I trace over it. There you go, easy peasy. And now we're going to cut this out and put it on the back of the ornament. And this is how I add names to stockings. I am using 2 strands of green as per the instructions. And I'm just starting this off with a back stitch per the instructions. Normally when I do names, I do an applique stitch. An outline stitch, not an applique stitch. I use an outline stitch for names, but every once in a while, the instructions call for something different. I like the back stitch. I like the way that it looks. I've done the chain stitch, which is it takes a little bit longer to do the chain stitch. And, I mean, if it's done correctly, it looks really good. My preference is the outline stitch, so I do like the back stitch. It does look really good. So now that we're done with the name, we have to take this off. And luckily this stuff is so fine, but it stays. That's the thing. So like some paper just tears. This stuff does not tear. And it takes a little bit to kind of get it off, so, which is nice. And then I grab some tweezers and I pull the rest of it off. And make sure that when you are using tweezers for the little areas that you do not accidentally pull stitches. Make sure that you're tearing slowly and with the stitch and not against it, if that makes any sense. So I'm just going to go in and grab these little tiny pieces with my tweezers. I'm trying really hard not to grab the stitch. And luckily, tissue paper is rather easy to do this with. So I'm going to finish that. And that's what it looks like completely finished on the back side. Now we got to put the front side together. So this is one giant ornament that we're going to be putting together. And this is what it looks like finished. Rather simple. Not a lot of embroidery. Mostly just beading and sequining and layering the pieces together. So, and we're going to stuff this very slightly. I think we're stuffing this. We'll find out. I'll have to look in the instructions. I just assume that we're going to stuff it. But I'm just putting the cording in there where I want it. And then we're going to hang it onto the stocking. So I like to just line it up like so. And then I'm going to put a pin here so it doesn't go anywhere. Because cording will not stay. You'll have to pin it. Okay. So now I'm going to secure the cording first onto the front so it doesn't go anywhere. And then when I put the ornament together, I'll be able to not worry about the cording slipping and sliding around. Okay, so we are putting these, gotta sandwich those two together, and then I am using yellow for the top, and then I'm most likely going to use like a green for the rest of it. And I can easily hide the green underneath the other felts. So right now I'm just using the top color because it, it's yellow, so I want it to match. And then I'm going to change color here. Okay, as you can see, I changed colors. Now I'm going to tack this down. So I'm just going to open this up and kind of do a couple of knots here to secure it, so it doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, okay. I'm going to pin it here, and then I'm going to finish knotting this. And I do several knots. Several. So I want to make sure it's not going to be, like, if it's accidentally pulled, I don't want it to be, like, pulled off. So, yeah. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel. I've got wonderful tutorials on Bucilla kits and vlogs and Etsy shop stuff and all that good stuff. And here is a beautiful stocking, completely done. I absolutely loved this stocking. Bucilla did a great job with this stocking. And Plaid, if you're watching, you need to bring the stocking back. So, all right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!